This is the Business Stuff Podcast. This is where I will share the lessons I've learned from advising thousands of businesses over almost 30 years. Each episode will give you practical insight to allow you to learn from other people's mistakes. I'll be pulling in experts from our team and the world of business, and together we'll make sure your business is giving you what you want. My name is Martin, and this is the Business Stuff Podcast. Hi, it's Marty from the Accelerator team here, and I'm here with Jack this week again. Hi Jack, how you doing?
I'm good. Did you lose my phone number or something?
I don't know what to say, but we've been inundated with good guests. So we thought we'll call you when we hit a dry spot again.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm here. Fine. It's nice to be
find
back.
a way to make this more fun and interactive, Jack. A way to make, your appearance on here, I don't know, more gamified perhaps.
Oh wow, funny you should mention that, Martin.
That was a terrible way to introduce this week's topic, gamification.
Yes.
Tell us about, as always, Jack, start at the beginning. What is it? What is gamification?
Well, before let's say what it is, let's say why is it a thing, I suppose, is probably the most important thing. If we look, and we're talking about gamification in the sense of gamification comes from video games, online games, that sort of thing. Massive phenomenon.
Yeah.
If I'm going to throw some stats at you at the moment, well, actually, I'll ask you a question. What's the most downloaded game currently on the market? Come on, you've got teenage kids. You should know this.
Well, I think you're going to say Fortnite, but I'm not sure you're right.
No, it's Minecraft.
Oh, well, go on then. Yeah, I'll go with Minecraft. Yeah.
Well, I've given you the answer. You can't go with it. 300 million.
Yeah.
A rough estimate, I'm guessing.
Yeah, staggering number. Yeah.
It's crazy. In 2023. There's an estimated overall usership in the gaming market globally of 3.2 billion, which is about 41% of the population.
Yeah, which is a decent share of people.
Yeah, and basically the people who are using this, they're spending hours on this, and there's obviously some kind of reason behind that. So therefore, the corporate world, I suppose, the business world has got a hold of this and went, well,
how can we use that?
Exactly, yeah. So essentially, gamification as a concept is bringing these sort of game elements or game dynamics into non-gaming sort of areas. So a massive area the two main areas are around customer engagement and also sort of employee performance and motivation.
So we're not talking about Running Man or Hunger Games, to use a more up-to-date reference, style kind of who wants the promotion. Winner gets a job. Yes, dies. We're not talking about.
Yeah, we're not having the CEO or the MD being a sort of a Roman emperor with battle to the gladiatorial battle.
Right? Something a bit more mundane, presumably, but yeah. But the idea is make it more fun, a bit more challenging, a bit more adversarial in one.
It's to bring out that element of competition out of it. So fundamentally, it comes down to sort of two things. It's around engagement, promoting engagement. Creating a methodology or a way of basically getting people to do more mundane tasks and almost enjoy them, so to speak.
Almost enjoy?
Well, a very basic idea. There's a few examples already out there on the market, I suppose, that we can talk about. And, like Starbucks, for example, have got an app and it's around loyalty.
Yeah.
Loyalty points, loyalty rewards. This isn't a new concept at all.
Yeah.
But the point is, by putting it onto an app and creating these sort of gaming elements, for example, like scratch card things on your phone, mental, that people go, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'll give that a scratch.
McDonald's did something recent. They used to have the Monopoly stickers, didn't they? On the backs of the cartons, etc. And I think that moved digitally recently as well.
Exactly. That's a classic example of gamification because it kind of it creates that engagement. People go, I'll go to McDonald's because I've got two of the green ones. Hopefully
I just need Old Kent Road.
Yeah. Finally.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
notice I went classy there on me.
Yeah, obviously. I can tell how you play Monopoly.
I was a Brown Street, wasn't it? First roll of the dice, buy. Yeah.
I'm more of a kind of a pink and orange sort of was my sweet spot, I'd say. That's where you go. Keep away from the stations though, obviously.
I used to like the stations. I never used to win though.
Yeah.
so anyway, Jack. So what's the purpose then? Now the loyalty app makes sense. They want you to buy more coffee. That makes sense. There must be other ways to utilise this though within the business world. It can't just be all about business to customer.
Yeah, so that's the second part of it, is around the employee side, and it's around motivation essentially, and we've kind of touched on it already. It's kind of that natural desire for competition, achievement and collaboration basically. So how can we find ways to really like boost those aspects within like, you know, our workforce essentially?
Is this I can't remember who it was now. We did debate about whether this should happen at Robson Laidler at one point. I can't remember where. I think it was an accountancy firm, I'm going to say in the Midlands somewhere, who literally had a bell. And if there were certain triggers where someone would literally ring the bell. It was like, I don't know if it was new client won or certain amount of tax saved on a job or services upsold or something like that. But I suppose the idea was that if you heard this bell in the workplace, it meant something good had happened, and everyone knew the good that had happened, if that makes sense. You know, is that in itself gamification, or because I presume you want to be the one to ring the bell?
Yeah,
but
I think that's a very sort of low-tech version of it now.
Yeah, that's like a fairly crude. Spread the good news amongst the office, and the person who rings the bell feels good because they rang the bell.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the person who didn't ring the bell goes like, well, you rang the bell, I'm going to make sure that I'm the next person who rings that bell.
Ring it twice tomorrow, kind of. Yeah,
exactly. So that's kind of the main purpose of gamification, I suppose. I mean, there are other aspects for it, but these are kind of the two ones that would probably be most applicable to our viewership, I would probably say.
Well, you might not have an answer on this, and Jack, and I know how you love when I go off script
of course.
And go on to page 4, which doesn't exist. You know, you talked about this as an idea to get people to do mundane tasks. You know, I mean, clearing your inbox seems like an obvious one, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if you're a workplace, you might say, I want your inbox cleared at the end of every second. I don't want an email to be in your inbox twice at home time or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, is there something there? How do you monitor? How do you track? How do you reward without penalising? Like, you know, there's presumably a balance on what can be made less mundane and what will always just be mundane, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's around, you know, a couple of different factors around the dynamics and the mechanics of kind of the game that you create essentially. So it's kind of those big picture aspects that you're trying to develop, and creating a narrative as well to actually really engage people in it. So there's like a few, and never going back to what's already on the market, like Duolingo, for example. That has a mechanic in it where essentially you log on every day and you generate awards and you create a streak essentially. A
learning streak, yeah.
And it's about, in terms of on the employee side, just having something similar there, like, oh, you've done 5 days in a row where your inbox has been cleared at the end of the day. And it's just creating the ways of monitoring that. That's essentially the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
How you can monitor that.
I'm pretty sure Alfie Joey, who's been on twice, I'm pretty sure he's got a Duolingo streak on Spanish. I'm sure he said he's over a year now. So, like, clearly if you get the right thing, it can capture you, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that moves us nicely back onto script now. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
And that's ultimately where successful gamification comes, is where you can sort of trigger or emote with the motivators of your workforce and your customers. And the book that we're referring to here, and I can't believe we're however long in, and not even
10 minutes in.
Yeah, not even.
Is this based on reading that you've been up to, Jack?
Yeah, funny that. So it's the I'll give you the full title of the book, which is written in here somewhere. It's not even. Have I got it here? No, I don't think I've even written it down actually.
I was going to say there's no book title in there.
It's by a chap called Yukai Chow though. And it's got gamification in the title. I know about that much. But essentially, he's sort of theorised that there are sort of 8 main motivators, quite similar to what we talked about with motivational mapping. It's largely the same, just slightly different wording. So he basically says there are 8 key motivators out there. There's meaning, empowerment, social influence, unpredictability, avoidance, scarcity, ownership, and accomplishment. If you can find a way of kind of really leveraging one of those motivators, then that's going to guarantee to have more impactful gamification.
So that's quite interesting, because some of those things immediately feel like they would lend themselves quite well. Social influence, you know, talks about social pressure, peer pressure, you know, envy, mentor. So I want to ring the bell is presumably part of that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Avoidance, the motivation to avoid something negative happening. That sounds like a stick, though. And the carrot and stick, that sounds more stick than carrot, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I suppose you have to find the right balance there in terms of what the consequence of not doing something is. Like, for example, the Duolingo.
Beheading.
Yes, it'd be slightly different. I think Duolingo did do beheadings, you know, if you fail to log in.
You've missed the 365th day, your device will now explode.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's finding the right level of consequence so that people actually buy into it and want to use it. And also, there's some kind of consequence if they don't use it. So, again, having that idea of a streak where you're like, if it was a sort of attendance streak, always turning up on time, that sort of thing.
To be fair, schools are doing this. As soon as you've said attendance streak, yeah, so my son will often come home with a bar of chocolate. I'll say, oh, where do you, like, you know, I got that from school today. What was that for? Oh, I was present every day.
Yeah.
It's a bar of dairy milk. He doesn't eat chocolate, so it's a bit of a way. But the idea
Result
is,
for you, though, eh?
Yeah, but he's one of a relatively few number of kids who's at the front to say, well done, you're here every day.
Yeah.
Which, depending on your audience of school kids, might be a target for you on the way home that day at school. But
I've got him.
but it's I mean it's accomplishment, isn't it, to use one of your eight there?
Yeah, and this is
what it's a relatively low reward, but it is a reward.
It's finding that level where it actually encourages behavioural change.
Yeah.
So if there's somebody who continually takes a Monday off because they're too hungover because they're going on the Sunday night rather, if they see someone getting a reward for turning up, they go, well, actually maybe I'm willing to sacrifice that massive night out on a Sunday.
In that example, a bar of chocolate probably isn't going to sway them.
If it was a Lucozade, on the other hand, they might be interested.
two cans of Red Bull. So what kind of things, just practical tips in just a normal working environment? Because, you know, it says there, for instance, the avoidance, you know, light-hearted consequence for missing out on a target. So we're not talking about punishment here. It's not really a stick. It's light-hearted. And equally on the achievement side, you're not on about giving anyone a Hawaiian holiday here. It's got to fit within the idea of the size of the task involved, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's about, as I said, it's finding that level where you're going to get people to buy into it consistently. And
take it seriously without it dominating their life and creating anxiety and stress.
Yeah, exactly. And that all comes from creating the narrative of it, I suppose. That people go, all right, yeah, fair enough. I see why we're doing this, and I want to take part. So yeah, if we look at some practical tips, kind of on the customer engagement side, that's very much the first thing there, is creating that compelling narrative around your brand, which ultimately creates that connection between the meaning, because obviously meaning is very important to people. So
gamification then on the loyalty card, that makes sense. I understand that, and collecting stamps towards a goal. Could this also be something along the lines of, well, you know, book your next appointment before you leave? Is that, like, to get the discount? Is that gamification? Maybe
that's a little bit. That probably ties into the scarcity side of things, like while stocks last sort of thing. In terms of around the meaning,
don't miss out. Yeah.
The meaning side of things may be tied to something that's not necessarily beneficial to the business itself, but it may be for like your sustainability goals or something. If you don't come to this event, then we will do this. We will plant X amount of trees. Yeah. We will provide, you know, this level of e-learning for a third world country. That's kind of how you create that compelling narrative, I suppose, around meaning.
Because people have to care about the thing as well.
Yeah, exactly.
If you drink a lot of coffee, a free coffee now and then is a nice little perk. Doesn't change your life, but it's a nice little perk.
Yeah.
If you're tying something else to it, it has to be something that means something to the customer, doesn't it? The client.
Definitely, yeah.
It can't just be some random thing that isn't remotely linked to either your business or the service or the customer's needs.
No, very true. Other tips are trying to introduce customization options within your products and services. Obviously easier said than done. But if it's like a business where you're getting a lot of orders and just having that ability for your customers to have a very user-friendly experience when they're ordering with you, being like, oh yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Maybe I will. Coffee shop, again, going back to coffee shop, like, oh, do you want chocolate on top of your cappuccino? I'm ordering through an app.
Well,
interestingly,
this is directly from gaming, of course, now, where Steve, the main protagonist in Minecraft, who I know, unless I'm wrong, and then really embarrassing, but I'm pretty sure it's Steve, you can change his skin or his outfit, for instance. Some of those are free, some you collect, some you buy. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's a way to, so it doesn't have to be a free extra, it can be, would you like a bit of that?
Just a way of
stand out a bit.
Mm-hmm. A way of upselling it, or providing that level of customization. Because like you use Etsy, for example, the way that they do customization can be quite clumsy. Some shops are done very well in the sense of the customization, like it's all available. Others you'll just say, oh, just write it in this box.
Yeah.
But that's if you had an option of 2 identical products, but one of them had the customization through drop-down menus and so
or it was visualised digitally on the thing before you place the order, rather than just type your name here and trust us, it'll be on there.
Yeah. And also people are inherently lazy as well. Like if it's like they'll just see an option like, oh, I'll fill out all the options, put it in my basket, buy it. But if they didn't realise they had to actually write a small essay in terms of exactly what they wanted, and then when the thing arrives, they go, this isn't what I wanted, and you're like, well, you didn't say anything.
Yeah. Moving on to, the next thing here is some practical tips, leveraging social media, create a community, have forums, those types of things.
Yeah.
Because I think our own platform has this, you can be a top contributor. So Facebook introduced this many years ago. Now you're the top contributor in a forum.
Top fan.
I'm helpful and
and again, fostering that community spirit that again is essential in the success of gamification.
Which costs literally nothing in those examples we just give there. It's you haven't even got to monitor it or maintain it. It's literally automated, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Similarly, as a feature on Strava as well, isn't it, where you can be a local hero.
If you do the route more than anyone else, you get.
Which then encourages people, I'm going to run.
I mean, Strava's a great example of gamification for a reason other than gaming. Mm-hmm. It's just that idea of competing against others.
Yeah, and that traditional sort of leaderboard thing going on. Yeah, it's very smart. Again, I can't believe it's taken this long to reference that one as well.
Well, to be fair as well, though, the employee of the month is presumably gamification.
Yeah.
We've all seen American TV shows where, the car dealership has got a picture of Dirk, 4 months in a row. We've got to beat Dirk. We've got to get him off the top. I don't know who Dirk is, but
I love that's your traditional American name as well. Dirk.
I don't know what to say, Dirk. It's like, well, how do we beat Dirk? Well, we sell more cars, which also we get money, so that's handy. They get more cars sold, everyone wins, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. No, so true.
Is there a danger of dissuading someone though if it's too hard for anyone to win?
Well, it's like we've talked about SMART objectives before, and one of those things that has to be realistic,
achievable, and realistic. Yeah.
And if
you're competing in it, like, is there a chance where you go, well, there's 5 of you, best salesperson this month gets it. Mm-hmm. If you're having a terrible run and you're just never going to win, that you might just think, what's the point? So there is a danger about disincentivising.
Yeah, and I think that's where the employer has to step in and go, well, maybe this game isn't nuanced enough.
We need to, handicap it.
If it's purely based on sales, but the other 4, are still actually providing some kind of benefit to the business. Obviously, we don't want to be like, oh, well, we're just going to game it so it's so that basically one of his sales is worth 15 of their sales. Yeah. So it's again finding that right level in terms of like how, because as I said, it comes back to motivation as well. If this is going to demotivate the team, then it's failing as a game.
You've got one person walking around off to Hawaii every month.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm loving it.
Yeah, this is brilliant. I'm absolutely loving it.
So I mean, it brings us on to the next one then as well. You know, the element of surprise, which I hadn't connected the two, but that might be a way to give anyone a chance. It might be that instead of the more sales win, every sale gets a raffle ticket, for want of a better thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, even someone with 3 sales might win. But I mean, is that what that means? The element of again, it's just a way to get more people involved and to spread the chance of people succeeding. Isn't it?
Yeah, and that's I suppose the point of it being a surprise is then it naturally creates that sort of affinity, and on the customer side, if it just kind of lets you know that they're thinking of you, which then turn your mind and go, oh yeah, that's very nice of them.
They didn't have to do that.
Yeah, more likely to buy. Because
you expect your 10th coffee free, but if it was just randomly today, that's probably why like the Greg's app will give you like a donut randomly a couple of times a year. And
if you haven't used it in a while,
say notification.
Yeah.
Hi there, do you want a donut?
Yeah.
Well, why not? Yeah. While I'm in there.
Yeah, because you can't
have a donut without a steak bake, can you?
What, together at the same time?
Had a cheese pasty.
In some kind of horrible sandwich.
How dare you? That would be a lovely sandwich.
I probably would actually.
So what we got next then? Time sensitive offers.
So again, back to that scarcity idea, trying to go like, this is a one-time offer, this is a limited time offer. It creates that sort of like buzz. I need to act now. I need to do it quickly.
Yeah.
And obviously that's something you can only do. You can't do that continuously, otherwise you end up with like a DFS sale where
sale never ends.
Exactly, yeah. I'd be more surprised if there wasn't a sale on as opposed to there being one. But if you do that at the right cadence, then you're going to again see that sort of increase in uptake from your customers going like, oh yeah, I need to get in whilst I can, because this is a really good value for me. So, and
again, it's got to be big enough to actually incentivize someone to want to use it.
Yeah, and
5% discount on a pie and chips no one's going to rush in to get that 5% off their pie and chips, or it's got to be a suitable.
It brings me back to actually funny, it's some stand-up I was watching, and sorry, this is going into your areas of expertise, but it was sort of it was kind of lampooning the adverts that are on the TV these days, where they're kind of playing it to British nationalism and patriotism, saying we're going to reward Britain for being amazing. So anyone who wants to buy a mattress over £1 million gets 1% off or something like that. So it's sort of a bit like, it's a bit disingenuous. And it's not really worth it.
The old classic one there was, the product or the service that was free for anyone over 80 accompanied by both grandparents or something like that. It's like, all right, okay, good luck.
You'd be very surprised if they did turn up.
That would be a hell of a shock.
And they get 15% off.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm conscious of time, so we'll rattle through the rest of them, shall we?
On then,
So we've kind of touched on the developing a point system. So just
that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Or in the simplest form, it's just what it sounds like, isn't it? Collecting points, building up to a tally, cash the bin, get something.
Yeah.
And again, that's so if we were looking at how you can improve profitability, getting each customer to either spend more with you or getting each customer to spend more often. They're both great kind of pillars of trying to improve profitability from existing customers, aren't they?
And actually a lot more cost effective.
To that.
Yeah, and a lot more cost effective compared to going out and finding new customers.
Yeah, you're better to give customers every 10th coffee for free than try to bring new customers in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So these things have a cost, but they're often cheaper than the alternative, aren't they?
Again, it reminds me of the US office where they do some golden ticket scheme, and he accidentally puts it into a shipment, into the same shipment for their largest customer, and ended up giving them about 60% discount.
To their largest purchaser, yeah.
But then it seemed to work out in the end, because then they decided to basically put £1 million order or $1 million order in, so it actually worked out very well.
That doesn't normally happen, does it?
I'm not saying that works, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't give your biggest customer 60% discount one time.
It's interesting because business card draws at exhibitions and fairs and things like that are a classic one, and you always feel a little bit upset, maybe is a bit strong, but where someone who's an existing client, you pull their card out, you're like, I was trying to reach into trying to attract new people here.
A new person.
There's your champagne. I'm so glad you won it. Dave, who I see every week anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And now I've looked at it, Dave, there's 45 of your new business cards in here, actually. What's going on?
So what's the next thing then? Challenges or goals, which again feels...
Yeah, so again, it's finding that level where it's not too onerous. You're not saying like, oh, you need to submit a 2,000-page essay or you need to do a 4-mile run just to, and log that on the app, please. Otherwise, and you'll get this, free pen. So, but it's finding like, it's encouraging them to use the app in a way, or play the game in a way that's not too onerous on themselves.
Yeah. I'm just skipping on to the next bit, and just to finish off then, Jack. What's interesting is if you look at the different types of strategies, they're called intrinsic and extrinsic here. Encourage mastery, and then the other one is basically, I've probably took us slightly off and derailed this here, but there are collection type things and there are achievement type things.
Yeah.
And just simply buying 10 coffees might not do it for someone. So,
no.
I'll buy when I'm here, but I'm not going to come just to buy one. So it can feel a bit redundant.
Yeah.
Whereas something that is more skill-based that, might appeal to different people in a different way, mightn't it?
Yeah, so if you looked at the intrinsic strategies, that's the more Duolingo sort of thing, like the streak, continuous learning, rewarding that, and applying to people sort of really playing up to people's sense of accomplishment, developing those streaks. Extrinsic, is that
extrinsic?
Why is that such a difficult word to say? I was trying to make it more difficult than it was. And that's down the sort of recognition side, the achievement side of things.
Yeah.
Trying to reward them for that, but intrinsic stuff's more about the encouragement of mastery, offering opportunities to learn and develop. So that's more aimed at the sort of employee side of things. And again, that creating the culture and the having those behavioural changes as well.
And again, what's interesting here is it doesn't have to be you get a bonus. It can be time off, early finish.
Yeah.
First in the buffet queue. It can be something light-hearted or very meaningful, but it doesn't always have to be cash, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
Worth bearing. These things don't have to cost you money.
No, they don't. Well, not as much money as you'd like to think they would.
Yeah.
But if we get into gift cards, then it does get a bit more boring from a tax point of view. But again, you can get that up.
It's always seek tax advice before implementing the scheme. So that's gamification anyway. And I suppose we should see if we can get you some kind of reward for being on the podcast.
Yeah, have we not got some kind of stamp card
3 weeks in a row this year, Jack? I mean, you might have to come up with, do a bit better, but we can look at it.
Yeah, have we not got some kind of stamp sort of card
I'll stamp your hand before we go. And
So if you've been on... Yeah, if we're in the spirit of it being a terrible gamification, if you're on 7,000 podcasts, you get a free coffee.
Absolutely. I'll get you a glass of water for your second streak. This is marriage, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
10 is 10, 50, 20 or 30's pearl or something, isn't it? Just gamified marriage.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll probably stop there because I think that's about our thing. Thank you very much, Jack. I hope anyone in business, I'm always interested to know how people are implementing these ideas out in the real world. What do you do to encourage your customers, your teams, your management teams, your owners? How are you gamifying business? I'd love to hear.